that the stop loss is going to be pretty close to your entry price. So that's something you should consider as well. By the way, never forget about the stop loss. So this is the configuration you can use once you spot this pattern formation, which is pretty typical for the rising market. And we know that for the rising market, we stick with the classic bot. Okay, so here it is. Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to discuss is basically how to build high yield and low risk strategies. I hope I have it. No, I actually don't have it. Let's see if I... No, okay, maybe not this time. But anyway, what I wanted to show you is a high yield strategy, like the highest possible return that you can make. So we know that in order to maximize our returns, we need to trade on those coins that potentially are gonna move higher. So that's why classic bot is the one we stick with. The next thing to do is to find the coin. I mean, that's the first actually thing to do, is to find the coin that is actually trading to Bitcoin, for example. Because, for example, 0x to Bitcoin, let's see what we have there. So by trading on 0x to Bitcoin, you have a double risk exposure, because the value of 0x fluctuates relative to Bitcoin. That's your number one risk exposure. And the number two risk exposure is that as the bot generates returns in the quote currency, in that case that's Bitcoin, then you know that the value of Bitcoin also fluctuates relative to USDT, for example. So in that case, we end up having a double risk exposure by trading 0x to Bitcoin, which is not the case when you trade, let's say, 0x to USDT. In that case, your risk exposure is only in 0x its value as it fluctuates, because you know that as you make returns in the quote currency, in that case that's USDT, you know that the value of USDT that the bot made for you today, it will be the same tomorrow, because USDT is pegged to dollar and it's 1-to-1. So it's going to be $1 tomorrow, it's going to be $1 the day after tomorrow. Of course, there are some underlying risks with regards to the stable coins in the industry, but these risks are pretty justified and relatively insignificant. So that's why, like, the time has proven that in most cases, like 98% cases, USDT is exactly $1. Okay, but as we go back to 0x to Bitcoin, here you have a double exposure. And as you have this double exposure by trading the classic bot here, you not only generate, your investments, your return on investments is the 0x value plus it's the BTC that you made in this trade, which can also rise to USDT. So in that case, if both 0x appreciates relative to BTC, and also the value of BTC appreciates to USDT, and that's something that you can check on TradingView, by the way. So let's switch 0x BTC. Where is that? 0x. Oh, come on, BTC. Yes, here we go. Let's close this one. And now let's actually get rid of the volume as well. And let's switch to compare mode. So as we generate returns in Bitcoin, we are interested in the value of Bitcoin as well. So let's use USDT from Binance. So look at that. The thing here is that as the price of 0x relative to Bitcoin rises, you can notice that the value of Bitcoin relative to USDT also rises. So the bot made your returns in BTC on this rally here. And at the same time, this Bitcoin that you made in this bot trade also has appreciated during this period of time. So that means that now what the bot made for you is also multiplied by the exchange rate to Bitcoin USDT. So the value of your Bitcoin relative to USDT has also appreciated. Since, like, for me, the benchmark is USDT, like the return you made in USDT, for me, that's the only sound metric to take into account. I only evaluate my success in the USDT, because by the end of the day, you realize that USD is the currency that works for all of us. You can use it to buy goods, you can use it to buy properties and all that stuff. And as it takes for Bitcoin time to adapt, to enter all the markets globally and provide us with different branches where we can use Bitcoin, because for example in the USA you can use Bitcoin to buy Lambo, and there are cases where you can buy the real estate, which is not the case for many other countries. So that's why the utility of Bitcoin is valid just mostly in the blockchain industry, whereas USDT is something that we can use to withdraw from the market in USD and use this USD in daily life. So that's why in this strategy, as you have this double risk exposure, and thanks to this rally on both the 0x to the Bitcoin and also the value of Bitcoin to USDT appreciated, you have this double X return, if not more. And that's why this is known as the high yield strategy, because you made substantially bigger returns in USDT. Okay, but as you trade this coin, you also have to take into account that, for example, if you were unfortunate enough to launch the bot, let's say over here, right before it started to fall, then on this downfall, I mean, you would still make returns in Bitcoin, because we know that the bot makes returns regardless of the market trend, because it always can find this micro buy and micro sell opportunities. As you see, it swings, so that's why it can still generate returns in Bitcoin. But the thing is that we made return in Bitcoin, but unfortunately the value of 0x has depreciated, and also you see during this period the value of Bitcoin relative to USDT has depreciated. So in that case we had a double X risk exposure, which is something we don't want to have. But that is something that we need to take into account when trading these high yield strategies, is that in order to make 2x, you take 2x of the risk as well. I hope you didn't get lost in this my artwork. Yeah, there's some Picasso art over here on the trading view, but still I hope you guys really understand what I'm trying to tell you, is that in order to make more you need to take larger risks. So that's the case for the automated trading on cryptocurrency pairs that are volatile both. So that's the case for 0x to Bitcoin, for example. In that case, if you want to have a conservative risk, so you don't want to take this double X exposure, then you can just trade coins that are rated to USDT or any other